Hi, hello, and welcome to Vertex of Abundance. My name is Serene Gorgeous. I'll be your oracle today. And I'm here to perform the Soul Purpose Saturday sermon. There's actually two phases set out here, so I'm just going to jump into the energy. Okay. So last week we did a round with this guidance when we had erected the staff or when we ascended the spine, the tree. Some guidance came out, and in the spiritual world, it was led by the archetype of Mars. So, Mars is typically what the powers that be, all that is the vehicle that God energy uses to enact energy in the physical. Literally, it's force. That's what Mars is. And the Tower card is the concept and idea of Uranus combined with Saturn. It is the disintegration, dismantleization of structures that disallow a person's Uranus and Saturn energy. So, structure and independence, structure and spiritual vision. Now, in the material world, it seems like we were being led by the energy and the mysteries of the black sun and the golden sun, or the sun and the moon. Incarnational life. The moon card is about confronting what's alive in you. Typically, it's a dark journey of the soul. Ultimately, it is the knowledge that in order to find your light, in order to go back and be made of the light, in order to find the eternal nature, in order to find Naraya, which is where you shelter yourself when you're in Maya, which is illusion. In order to get to that light, you need to go to the depths of your shadow. You know, 8th house, 9th house, sun in the 8th house, or moon in Scorpio in the 12th house. It's typically the moon card. Um, so when you have a descent into the underworld, sun in the 8th house, if you're made of light, it will be about confronting things in the darkness, being a bright light in a dark place. Oh, wow, that's like a live wire. When I just tune in, it's intense. Okay, let's get off the one. So I'm just gonna talk about the material world. So in the mysteries, the material world we call prikti or pariktis, parity, and we have a conscious sense. We have a consciousness sense when we're engaging in the cycle of evolution, evolve, living, loving, spelled backwards, evolve or evil. Something's going on. We need to experience a temporary stasis, temporal stasis. We need to experience have what's called an alchemical functions contact. Something needs to touch us, touch our heart, touch our body, touch our soul. It needs to impress upon us. So those are parities. Parities. It's a momentary physical experience. The converse to that is Purusha, which is the divine that one anchors into the individual life. Because the closer and closer and closer we get to God, the more and more and more we're going to be rattled, is what I'm being told. The more and more we confront what's alive in us, we'll realize that we are the thing that has scared us the most. When you look the devil in the face, the thing that scares you the most is the reflection of you. Okay. So it's like we need to become detached with all these physical functions. Love is also a physical thing for all intents and purposes here in this. It's kind of a simulation. This is a simulation. This is a demonstration. These are the realm of your wildest dreams. These are my wildest dreams. My wildest dream is really to, for most, ladies, the man is a plan. That's the little third dimensional human stories. Stuck on stupid, yearning, conjuring up some hurting, some wounding from the past. Can't get no nothing going on good because you can't get a man that ain't shit, frankly. Because a man is not a plan, a man is a vehicle to the divine. And if he doesn't know who he is and what he wants, how can you be receptive and open to assist him in achieving that? Um, so if a man is not a warrior who knows how to worship at the throne of the divine, he's going to be stuck on stupid too. I mean, for a woman to be embodied as sacred and divine, she needs to tune into the vibration. For a man to tune into the divine, basically, to become the divine, he needs to be able to ground into that live wire. He needs to be able to become the live wire, to manage to handle the live wire, magnetic, electric. So I'm picking up a couple things here. Let me just round the bases. That song's still coming through. If it's all in my head, it's all on my mind. You don't get to be unkind. You got to understand a little bit about the artist to really dissect her songs. But what's coming through? What's the channel? What's the message? Let's tune into the frequency here. Um, us having to make surrenders, us having to sacrifice aspects of our soul mission, purpose, karma, destiny, trying to move forward, push itself, strike itself onto the universe. Our internal self striving, our internal spirit, our eternal spirit pushing, striving to start a journey in the physical, and us being unable to do that has crystallized our autonomy, franchise, and control of ourselves. The sacrifice and the surrender has given us, or will at some time in the near future be giving us. Yeah, because the full in reverse, it means turning the dials, learning. It's kind of like a case study versus the journey. A journey, you go and do it. You go out to the field. Full in reverse, you study the little theory in the office and you don't go and do the practicum. You know, the surrender and the sacrifice, the not being able to go out on this journey, the having to or surrendering to course correction, essentially, full and reverse, will give us autonomy, franchise, and control, self-governance, self-mastery. It will teach us, or when we do have this different perspective with this hangman card, we'll have the means, mechanisms, methodologies to build those systems, structures, foundations. Right now, in the very present, what has happened is we are going to see our own light by sharing our light and shining bright for people less fortunate than us. You know, those who are truly stuck on stupid, those who don't have the keys to the kingdom, those who ain't as beautiful, who ain't as pretty, who can't shine bright like a diamond. You know, when we realize that it's fine for us to be the example, to be the story, or to be the face of all their hatred, just so that they can, you know, haters still need something to hate on so that they could do their work, which is growing into a bigger, brighter, better person, anchoring self-worth and value into themselves by loving themselves first. That's what a hater needs. Self-love. Okay, so these things are coming through, however it's relevant. I'm sorry that it wasn't a clear, coherent story. Um, Now, knocking at the gate, I will say that the surrender, the sacrifice, the findings would be that um, we're being asked to anchor in spiritual technology, spiritual beliefs, okay, the alignment with the Narayan, which is the divine that you access every day. Essentially, the unfathomable manifests itself in your everyday life in some way, shape, or another. And if you are working spiritual practice, if you do have a devotional path, you will have recognition of that. Said differently, you will perceive the phenomena of the universe. Said differently, the phenomena, shows up in your life in some way. Said differently, God talks to you in some kind of way. God is unfathomable, unmanifest, undying, unborn, unexplainable. The closer and closer and closer we get to describing it or labeling it, the further and further and further it gets away, right? But the unfathomable manifests in your life in some way that speaks and resonates with you. So going and moving towards and anchoring those concepts and ideas into your life, those connections, whether it's mental, meaning your craft, your spiritual practice, whether it's emotional, meaning in devotion, your devotional path, it's going to anchor itself into your life some way, somehow. How is that? Accumulating, collecting, right? Inventorying those concepts and ideas. Again, how God anchors himself into your life, how God anchors themselves into your life, how that show, how God talks to you. When you accumulate, inventory, illuminate, enumerate those things, what's going to happen is you'll be able to mix and match, to alchemize alignment in your life. Okay. Now, the recommendation will be, don't worry so much about the gate maybe not immediately opening up, or that the opportunity right now is to release, or the opportunity right now is to question, or that the opportunity right now is to step into your self-worth and value, and whatever happens is whatever happens. If it doesn't align with what's alive in you, then you got to be okay to let it go. Maybe some of what needs to happen is that foundations will be torn down to the ground. Some spooky, scary things that maybe you don't want to happen are going to happen. Maybe if you tell them what's alive in you and they don't respond, or they don't reflect that back to you, it's time to no longer hold that space for them. Maybe if you tell a person you like them, or maybe if you ask for a raise and it doesn't happen, then you need to move on to your next plan. Ultimately, it is going to be allowing the fates that be, the powers that be, to come in and shift things around. Ultimately, it's going to be through your self-worth and value, through your sovereignty, serenity, and grace, being the sacred container, using your life itself as the vehicle for the sacred weaving to take place. Using your consciousness, your love, your devotion as the container, as the sacred container for the spirit, for Narayan, for the God that is alive in you to come through and manifest, to co-create with the universe. Surrendering to that is the option. That is the recommendation. And it's going to look like this, because remember, we are Mercury retrograde. So this is the archetype of Uranus, yes, but it is the concept and idea of the sun conjunct Mercury aspecting Uranus. So in reverse, it would be a Uranus retrograde, which we're experiencing right now, somewhere in the shadow period, and we are also embarking, or actually in, Mercury retrograde. So Mercury retrogrades, a lot of people are told that they're bad. I mean, if you're a debilitated individual, meaning you don't have consciousness of your soul, perhaps it is for you. Is it bad? No. Is it a constructive time? Yes. The feedback will be adjusting. I won't be affirming. You will need to make changes. But the cup is refillable. If you decide to think that it's half empty, then that's your problem. If you decide to think that it's half full, then that's your problem. In reality, in the universe, they don't care if it's refillable or not refillable. They don't care if it's half empty or half full. They care if it's refillable. Frankly, in my opinion, if your cup is so full that you can't put any more in it, that's a problem. So if I can't put something in your cup, to me, you're not coachable. To me, you don't need me. What am I here for? So that's kind of the situation. Like, if you're not even willing to look at the situation and see how you align with it, if it resonates with you, maybe your answer is going to be no. Maybe your answer is going to be heck yes. You don't know yet. And if you're so stuck on stupid and fearful that you don't know what to do, or that taking a leap forward, a step forward, whether you're crawling, you're walking, or you're running forward, if that scares you, then there lies your work. So this is some of the stagnant energy from last week, or stagnant energy, the latent energy from last week, still yet coming to manifest. Remember, I said even though Soul Purpose Saturday is a week-to-week thing, last week I did say that it was more about a fortnight. So we were just encroaching upon the new moon. I believe the new moon was somewhere around the 5th or 6th of this month. Today's the 9th. So the new moon is the empty cup. The cup has been replenished and or restored so that it may be refilled. And we are beginning to fill the cup. So To me, I teach the concept and idea of the mysteries, and it's the mysteries of Isis. It's the mysteries of reincarnating, etc., carrying yourself through and back to your eternal spirit. And to me, God is like a seed, and the goddess is the field. And creation is how both of those things come together to manifest. So you have an intention and you have the devotion or the consciousness of that intention, and they grow together to make a third thing. That's really, you know, I'll stop there. There's too much mystery for some. So, you can plant any seed in any field. And yeah, normally the concept and idea is the field will always yield whatever you plant. So if you give it a mustard seed, it'll grow. And if you give it an acorn, it'll grow. If you're having problems with a yield, you really need to pray to your goddess, your ancestors. If you're having problems with the seed, you're not having problems with God, you're having problems with yourself. Something alive in you. If seeds won't grow, something is alive in you. And a lot of people say, well, there can be barren fields. Yes, and if you're looking outside of yourself for answers, therein lies the problem. Something alive in you should be calling you to a different field versus you running around looking for something because you think nothing that you do works, or you're unwilling to look at yourself. Okay, so let's check in with this week, which is from the 9th to the 15th, 16th of next week of March. We have a little bit of a problem. I saw a 1 in here. There we go. And that just means the active suit wants to go. Okay. So, remember, aligning with however God is alive in your life, it's going to be through needing to restore your self-worth of value. Up until recently, you were secure in yourself and something that you had a relationship of nourishment, self-containment, nourishment, all the same. Whatever environment you were in that helped you receive your feeling of self-attained nourishment, it shifted. The environment is no longer conducive for you being who you are, which is a sovereign, serene, and free being. If you continue to survive in the places that you've been, around the people, places, and things that you've been engaging with, you will feel depleted going forward. Up until the full moon, which is on the 21st of this month, you will be planting seeds of your own demise. If you are not at least aware. And listen, I'm just gonna tell you straight to your face. You sound stupid to me when you come at me all fearful. Ooga booga, I gotta go live in the future and take risks. Ooga booga, I need to get my life. Ooga booga, I'm afraid to live. Girl, get in the game and compete to win or get away from me. Stop complaining about having to live your damn life and get out there and get it. What the fuck you need me for? If something alive in you calls you forward, confront whatever you need to confront to get yours. You can put time into solutions or you can put time into excuses. You cannot have excuses and results in the same sentence, girl. You get it. Get it. If you need to change some things around, do it. If you need to say no and goodbye to some things, go get yours. Do that's permission to live your life. And excuse me for living. You ain't getting to explain yourself to no Negro, no Mr. Man that's trying to come around and tell you you need to petition to live your own life. Whatever is universal, not myopic, according to some man. So when you cut yourself out of the all that is, when you take time to align yourself with things that separate you and polarize you instead of unify you back with the universal oneness, in and of its nature, it's demonic and it will lead to the devil. And that's this hard lesson that's going to take a minute for you to learn. Now, ultimately, it should lead you to, when you do figure out that lesson, right? It should lead you to self autonomy, self governance, mastery. So the king in any suit is a master of whatever suit that is. So this is the king of kings. So this is just a person of self will, self mastery. And you know how to say no. To me, the emperor is no, the empress is yes. So ultimately, it means what walls do you have? How are you in terms of a living protocol, a living prototype, a living blueprint for when you become receptive? When you say yes to things, it comes from the outside to the inside. So whatever you let stick in you, whether it's a needle or a dick or even food, you put food in your orifice. You consume liquids. You take things into your rainbow waters. Okay, you need a system, a structure of allowing and disallowing. Normally, the emperor would be the president or the king. Well, customs and border control. What are you saying no to? What are you saying yes to? I'm not thinking about immigration. I'm actually thinking about like export import. If you allow something into your waters, if you allow something forward into you, it could change your constitution. If you let a rowdy motherfucker into your house, you have some disharmony. And if you allow that disharmony in the spiritual to step into the physical, it will be called dis-ease, disease. The opposite, because this is number 4, the other number 4 is the death card. When you have decay and the foundations and structures get disintegrated. So think about that. Your way forward is to release whatever isn't coming together. If it's not a flow, it's not a go. If you have, okay, ladies, I'm just gonna say something. Get up from the table and love no longer being served. Run away from people that make you feel hard to love. If you cannot thrive in a situation, run away. Girl, this is not the time to go around and be tolerated. If you're not being celebrated, go away. Now, don't be stupid. A lot of you have Leo tendencies, meaning a stupid fucking narcissistic Jesus complex or entitlement complex. I spot it because I got it. Let's move on. If you don't take the time to advocate for your needs, if you don't make a motherfucker accountable, honey, you cannot hold him accountable later on. Okay, whether it's a man or a business partner. All right. So advocate for your needs initially, but if your needs aren't getting met, it's not their problem, it's your problem. Because you haven't advocated for them correctly. And sometimes you have to advocate for your needs in another environment. You need to change lawyers, change business partners, change relationship partners, change accountants. Okay? It's not nobody else's fault. They are a vessel in your environment. All their purpose is to be a container through which you perceive and experience. It's not their fault. Yes, people are responsible for their behaviors, but you're responsible for your expectations. You're responsible for your standards. You're responsible for your pickiness. You're responsible for what you say yes and no to. So if you need to have some harsh words to release things, okay, that was a mic drop. It's going to be fine. Lots of things are going to be happening. If it's not a flow, it's not a go. Okay, so that means be celebrated, not tolerated. Embrace the situation, do not embrace for impact. Okay? Don't hang around people that make you feel difficult to love. If you've taken the time to say, hey, maybe you didn't know that this is the way I prefer to be talked to. Hey, maybe you didn't know that, this is my need or this is my love language. Or, hey, are you able to, tell me that you love me or be honest with me or look me in the fucking face when you talk to me? If you don't say that once or twice, then you walking away may be some stuck on stupid drama shit and not self-worth and value. Maybe not strength, courage, and wisdom. Now, I'm just going to say that, and I'm also going to say this, and if you're confused, it means you're not ready. Right? So you do not have any obligation to explain yourself to other people. So when you are walking away, it's not about, well, you didn't love me and now this man loves me so bad. I mean, if you're cruel or scorpionic or whatever, you're going to want to do those things. Okay, and that's why I was talking about the Jesus complex, narcissistic thing. It's expecting the world, it's expecting things outside of you to validate what's alive in you. So the Leo energy, I need people to fawn all over me. The Scorpio energy, I need to understand and control everybody. Or have my hands in everything so that nothing is going to change suddenly because that's what scares me. Or the Aquarius energy, I'm terminally unique, and if you don't see me as unique and otherworldly, I'm scared of you because you're minimalizing me and reducing me. The Taurus energy, if it doesn't make me feel good, if it's not simple, then there's something wrong. Those are fear-based mechanisms. Fixed signs have the strongest fear complex of any other sign. And I say the fixed signs not because I'm bagging on fixed signs, but because those are the four gates you need to cross through in the physical. When I'm talking about the pricties, that's what I'm saying. These are the four physical sense experiences. And in the physical, if you do not take your ego medicine and your fear medicine, you're going to fail. Because you will end up with the devil, not the Lover's card. The Lover's card means coming into contact with the higher spirit. It goes Lover's card, then the Temperance card. So when you come into contact with the soul group, you'll eventually come into contact with your higher self. The other aspect of the Lover's card is to come into contact with things from your lower nature, not from your higher nature. So when you allow things to stand in the way of whatever is calling your soul to expand and to grow, you end up in the devil energy, stuck, trapped, unable to free yourself because you can't face your deepest, darkest fears or your shadow. Oftentimes an addiction. Now, love can be an addiction because if love's not being served, and if the love doesn't affirm your self-worth and value, it's not real love, it's lust. And if love's not being served and you're still staying, it means you don't have strength, courage, or wisdom. Therefore, you would have the devil. And if it was love and it becomes devilish and you have the strength, courage, and wisdom to go, then it's still the lover situation. It's just the lover's in reverse because the relationship served its purpose. So what does that mean? It means one time you would have attracted something into your life. You would have been excited, you would have been expanding, you would have been growing, and you would have been finding your tribe. And then eventually you're going to keep expanding and keep growing. And sometimes the environment you move into, the people, places, and things you decide to engage with, sometimes you outgrow these things. And so you'll begin to repel them. If that stays at the same vibration and your vibration gets higher and higher and higher and higher and higher, it's going to repel you eventually, or you're going to repel it. So we're still waiting to see what this cycle produces. We're at the threshold. And it will be an astral experience. So it's going to happen in our internal nature, and it's going to happen in our thoughts, needs, and feelings. It's going to happen in our receptivity, where we strive for harmony and comfort. And it has to deal with our place in this world and how deeply we're willing to defend it. Now, we would choose to work in alignment, in harmony, but if we don't know what we stand for, we will fall for anything. And when things get revealed to us, sometimes a cold, harsh truth, sometimes that person was a murderer, a rapist, a narcissist. Toxic, all the same, doesn't matter what label they needed. They weren't right for you because they brought dis-ease, disharmony. They separated you from your higher self. They took you out of alignment with your peace. Instead of unifying, you disunified. So for you, they were demonic, and if you chose to stay, or you believed that you had to stay, it would have became the devil. So again, when the truth gets revealed, you can stay in your shadow by moping and hurting and yearning and conjuring up some wounding, or you can say the wound is where the light shines through. A broken heart is an open heart. I'm going to use this consciousness experience to grow and to go forward. This is not happening to me, it's happening for me to make me bigger, brighter, and better, to give me some strength, courage, and wisdom, some common damn sense, so I can have some self worth and value and pick it up and keep it moving. If in the lower world we're so stuck on stupid that we don't want to see things for what they are, we decide to call them something else because we are going to learn the hard way. Stuck on stupid, Nine of Swords, doesn't always mean anguish, doesn't always mean up all night. It means you are doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, and you're expecting a different results. Or you are getting attacked, but the thing about it is when you're unenlightened, when you're unawakened, 50% of your thoughts, 50% of your emotions are not yours, of your feelings are not yours. So you're on an emotional roller coaster because you don't know who you are, meaning you don't have a consciousness with your moon sign, and you're all over the place. So this Two of Swords here would talk about the healing for you is going to come from your ability to move through the thresholds. You've been given opportunities. You might not like all your opportunities, but here's fury. I have fury. See, I don't like it when my readings are crowned with the Tower card because I do see thunder and lightning in my third eye. It's challenging because this is actually my work. This is an energy that rules my work, and I can't. First of all, I tend to rage in those readings. It means there's an imbalance to right. You know, hatred and rage are two different. Excuse me, hatred and rage is different than anger. Anger is oftentimes closer related to ignorance. Not always, but usually. Hatred is a higher octave of anger, but anger means you're out of control, you're out of alignment. Hatred means the situation is out of alignment. So when you're angry, you need to fix you. When you're rageful, you need to fix, or when you have hate, you need to fix the situation. Now, frankly, the situation will change when you change. And that's now how it manifests on the world is you'll need to confront things. So it seems like good things are going on, but okay, remember, we will have needed to make a surrender, a sacrifice. So sometime over the last X number of weeks, X number of months, things wouldn't have been working out. There would have been a lot of false starts. There would have been a lot of almost maybes. And over this next week, leading up until about the 15th or 16th of next week, really leading all the way up to the 21st. Frankly, I know this is a week to week soul purpose Saturday, but leading up to about the 21st, we'll start to see things being taken off the table. We'll start to see things being taken away from us. We'll start to feel like we're losing out, missing out, and it'll be blessings. The word I'm hearing is dismantling of old structures. There's also old systems. So maybe you have a fear that feeds a kind of demon that perpetuates a family curse that you don't know you've had for the last 4 generations that really is stealing and depleting your beauty. Therefore, you're never going to have self-worth and value, which is fine for you because you can stay stuck on stupid all you want. But if you got a baby girl in your house, you don't want to teach that to your child. So it doesn't matter that you don't want to help your mama because your mama was a bitch to you and your grandmama beat you and abused you, but she's dead now. So, you can get into that kind of stuff. But really, ultimately, it's like, okay, I want freedom. So even if I don't want to do something, I still need to retain the ability to do something. So yeah, I don't like my grandma, I don't like my mother, but I do like myself and I want a bigger, brighter, better self. So I'm doing this to make it a stepping stone versus a roadblock. I'm doing this to make it an opportunity versus an obstacle. A lot of people take the significance of a speed bump and they turn it into a roadblock. It's the equivalent of turning a molehill into a mountain, right? So right now we're indecisive about things because we're looking at ways to defend our freedom. Now we're free, but I believe if we express this freedom, we'll have pushback. People will tell us, well, don't you, get off your high horse. You're too big for your britches. I understand biting off more than you can chew, but no, you don't ever, 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 ever need to justify your self-worth and value to another person. Now, some situations it's helpful, especially if you're in an intimate bond with another person, but it's not necessary. And the whole concept of a person needing to advocate for their self-worth and value pisses me off. So really quickly, let's do this. Whoa. Okay. So in order to move forward, we're going to need to do, well, for those who are awakened, we should just sit and wait. Remember we had that Four of Cups last time? So, okay. Okay, so in order to move out of this completely, what you want to prepare yourself for, or how to recognize that this cycle worked properly as it should have for you. Okay, so focus here. Or let me tell it to you this way. And there's some final guidance here as well. So I don't want to be too complex here. For those who are thoroughly awakened, it's going to look like just awareness of the cycle. You saw it coming, you were able to sit back and watch it happen, and all you needed to do is move your cards into the right place, get your house in order and reap, right? You've already sowed everything you can reap. Maybe you need to wait a week or two for the reaping, but you can sit back and watch it happen. For those who are unawakened, they're going to need to become enlightened. So if you're not trying to enlighten yourself, you're not. And you can be in the dark and still be completely enlightened. Illumination is different than enlightenment. And illumination is when you're chasing what you want outside of yourself. Enlightenment is when you can find the light inside. And the whole reason of a spiritual practice is to remind yourself that you are made of light and to remove the dark off of you. And the thing that allows the most dirt onto your aura is the mind, because an unawakened, unenlightened mind is actually an extension of the ego. And when the ego is in control and governing the mind, the soul is putting dirt on top of dirt on top of dirt. It could be called karma, it could be called curses, it could be called blockages. Ultimately, it's a perpetuation of being out of alignment. So this thing we need to recognize is embrace the situation for whatever it is. Don't Nine of Swords upright, be defensive. Embrace, let whatever's coming. Don't try to block it out. If pain's on the way, bring on the heartache. A broken heart is an open heart. It'll pass. And when it passes, you're going to have something that remains. And that's what you take to the next part of the journey. Okay. Now, what to do about that call to action, just to, embrace it. will be to move forward, move through it. So even though ultimately we're not going to figure out what this hidden thing was, we might not have clarity, we might not have a full mental understanding, we still do get to navigate through the situation and move on. This is moving from emotional waters to calmer waters, oftentimes taking those swords with you. In the traditional deck, those 6 swords are stuck in the boat, so you take those lessons with you. And y'all know about a stab, a puncture wound. Um, you need to leave that in, or when you pull whatever that shard is out of your body, you may bleed. What when the blood starts spurting everywhere. I know it's super gross. So sometimes you just need to if the knife is penetrating if the sword is penetrating the boat, sometimes you don't rip it out right away. Sometimes you need to navigate out of the situation and then worry about your healing further on. Sometimes we get stuck wanting to know now. I gotta know, but why, but why, but why, but why? Actually, break out, break free, go somewhere else and figure it out. You don't go to where you got broken to get fixed. I'm from LA. I say this all the time. You don't know how many times I've seen girls get a boob job for their 18th birthday. I'm from LA. It's something that we see happen. I know it's crazy for those who live in other states. Um, but the girls, they'll get their boobs fixed or their nose done, and then the surgeon will F them up, and then they'll go back to the surgeon that messed them up to get a repair. And it's like, okay, he just broke you. I don't care if he's gonna do it for free. Don't go to him to get fixed. You know, if they messed up your haircut, don't go to her again. If you go to a restaurant and you love that restaurant, but you get sick one time, stop going to that restaurant. It doesn't matter what your human little brain is telling you. What is God telling you? It don't work no more. Because if that was your restaurant, you would have been protected. You wouldn't have gotten sick. We're going to be like, oh, but I got to know. Oh, but I got to know. No, you've got to accept the truth of the situation that something ain't working. And sitting there and asking, okay, well, this is not a flow. Maybe it's not a go. Like, why? How can I release? Do I have some unrealistic expectation? Do I have some premeditated idea? That's when we navigate through the situation. Because if we don't, the healing for us will be, we'll have to get over our hurt feelings. We will be stuck in our feelings. We'll be taking a journey that's emotionally motivated, but unfortunately, spirit is wanting us to get the truth out of the situation. That means confronting things that were once scary and now will at least be illuminated. That'll be what it is. We need to hold that light up in the darkness and find the shadow. And for whatever reason, we're not going to be able to because we're emotional about the situation. So the Page of Cups is to go on the journey, but your findings are displeasing, and the displeasing will be of an emotional nature. Unfortunately, we won't be able, the gate won't open up according to intellect, reasoning, communication, clarity. You'll be stuck under the moon because you'll be giving your power away. That's the mysteries behind this card. You'll just need to look at the image. I'm not going to, you can come to mystery school if you want. Um, but a lot of this seizing your crown. Okay, so when you're in alignment, doesn't matter how many thousands of people have just come through and not been able to pull that rock out of that stone. Girl, if you in alignment, you ain't got no problem. You could use one pinky finger, it'll come flying out at you, and this little 6'5", 250-pound man over here was gonna be blue in the face trying to pull it out and ain't got no nothing. Ultimately, it's like you're trying to live in the lower world. You're letting the good get in the way of the great. I'm gonna tell a dirty joke. Pardon me. So there's this joke, and it's this woman's at a bar. She's drinking with her friend, and a man, fine ass brother, comes in, passes her a note, right? And it's like, ooh, you fly. Your face reminds me of the stars. I want to worship at the throne of the portal to the divine. With you. Um, I'm paraphrasing him. And she sends him back a letter. Well, I'm not an angel, I'm a demon. If you ain't packing 8 inches, got a million in the bank and driving Escalade, I ain't gonna fuck with you, Negro. And he's like, well, I have a lot more than 8 inches and quite a bit more than a million in the bank, and I have a Mercedes, an Escalade, a Porsche, and a Benz, you know. Um, so it's kind of like she's letting the good get in the way of the great. He has everything she wants and more, but since she's so myopic, she can only see that little. And it's like if God gives you $1 million check, don't sit there and complain about the fact that it wasn't written up to cash or the fact that one little I didn't have a dot above it or one little T wasn't crossed. You know, go and cash the check and worry about problems if they won't let you cash the check. That's when you need to worry because whatever you put your energy in is what you're creating. And see, she can see how all of the divine light creates the material realm. This person needs to hold up a bright light in the material to see what the shadow is. So I was saying, if you're unawakened, the healing is going to need to be get the f over your feelings, get your head out your ass. Frankly, stuck on stupid, yearning, conjuring up some hurting and some wounding from the past because it's easier to go back to what you missed out on than to hope, wish, and pray than to put faith, courage, and wisdom into yourself and your future. People who put their energy into the past all the time, they're not strong enough to put faith into their future. So they're living by happenstance. They're hoping for something outside of themselves to come in and make them feel better about themselves. People who are fearful of the future, you know, in the spirit realm, we call those crackheads. Maybe you're not slim and dope, honey, but you're a crackhead. You're a spiritual crackhead. Fearful all the time, you are a crackhead. Hello, welcome to class. I know I just smacked you around and I'm just getting started, honey. You got your notepad out? You taking some notes? Everything in the physical needs to impress upon you. If you lack the strength, courage, and wisdom and the self-worth and value to move something into your energy and see if it resonates with you, and if it doesn't resonate with you, thank it for what it came to teach you and release it. If you are holding on to dear life for every single thing coming your way, girl, if you spend all your time chasing after what ain't right for you, how are you going to leave time for what is right for you to catch up to you? Go ahead and smash that like button. So the last part here is, yeah, the opportunity here is release. The opportunity here is to have emerge from the ashes. It's to renew yourself. You're not going to be able to manifest anything. Everything that this is going to give you is going to be internal. It's going to be passions, drives, desires, vision for the future. The king, it's about the comings and goings, but not the arrivals and departures kind of comings and goings. It's the manifestation, the materialization of said. So this is drive, desires, passions, motivations, vision, ambitions, the love that you give yourself and others, your heart's ambitions, your soul's ambitions, your heart's desires, your strength, courage, and wisdom. So in reverse, it means, especially with this here, in it being in the multicone, it's saying a trine. It's the earth houses. We have the ace, the king, and the tower. So it's saying you're going to have to strike your will upon the universe, and your vision is going to remove everything that's in the way. So this whole journey is about doing internal work, doing internal preparations, clearing the way. This is like de-icing the runway. That's all you're doing. bye Felicia, bitch please, nigga please, fuck up my life, go jump off a cliff, fuck you and your mama, bye, nigga please, bitch please. And then whatever remains is what's for you. Okay. Okay, so that was the Soul Purpose Saturday. That was the open commentary. I gave you my findings. I gave you my recommendation, and that's really guidance for up until about the 21st. But you'll see a lot manifesting by around the 16th. Ultimately, I would say there's a lot of things we can't contribute to. That we're going to be looking for healing. We're going to be looking for things that are familiar. We're going to be looking for people to make us comfortable about ourselves, people to make us feel good. You know, we're not going to like people who are buzzkill, people who are talking the truth. You know, we're not going to like them. They're going to make us look at our lives. They're going to make us you know, it's going to be difficult to do the work because we need to release the emotional attachment we have to everything. But see, I don't understand attachment. I don't get it. I don't. And I'm a Cancer, y'all. I'm very fortunate to have Uranus in the first house. You can't pin me down. I don't even like to make appointments. It's too much of a commitment. I like to get things done. You hear what I'm saying? I have an Aquarian moon. Okay, Libra on the 11th house. Cancer on the 8th house. So Gemini on the 7th house. So attachments, I have a funny way of looking at it. I feel like I'm qualified to say something. Attachment is a mechanism of fear. Fear is a virus on your hard drive. It is something that is infecting your system. Fear very rarely has any positive effects. My belief, both professional and personal, is that the ancient human, before we were degraded in our DNA, did not experience fear that we know today. Because you're actually getting your needs met, but you're not feeling good about it. So it means you're not going to get what you wanted, but there's an opportunity, and it's forward. The groundwork has been laid, but it was internal, and so part of the movement from this test will be learning when an investment in something finally becomes an expense. You all know the difference between assets and liabilities, expenses and income, right? A liability is something that creates multiple expenses. Okay? Expenses is 12th house. It takes from you, it doesn't give to you. It needs to be fed all the time. It's like a hungry demon in your life. Okay? An asset is something that creates value, and hopefully, if you're an investor, you know how to yield income off of a specific accumulating value. Assets are worth, and some assets create income. Liabilities create expenses. Fear is a liability because it has what is called missed opportunity cost. It creates stuck on stupid, prolonged structures, open doors, cycles that are unclosed. It prevents you from being a bigger, brighter, and better. Therefore, it takes you out of alignment with your path. How do I know? Because what happens when you're on path, it means you're serving your mission. Your mission is to use your gift to make the world a better place. Ultimately, it is to serve in the light, to be the light in a dark place, and use your life as a vehicle for your spiritual ascension. Your spiritual ascension will mean turning your messes into messages. So everybody is a messenger. Some people are just an example of how not to be like a narcissist. They go around and remind people of really unsavory behavior so that we remember decency. Example. Okay. So this is a person who gets what they want, but they don't feel good about it because nothing is in alignment other than healing, creativity. That, again, bigger, brighter, and better, thinking out of the box, looking up towards the heaven for healing and peace and serenity, instead of looking out into the world for gimme, 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 because I'm hungry, I'm wounded, I'm starving, I'm yearning, I'm conjuring up some hurting. I'm this vacant, vassalous void. Feed me, feed me. That, a demon, demonic entities, cycles that won't end or that have a one-track mind, no beneficial, mutually nourishing exchange. If you feed it, it will eat you. That's a liability. It keeps creating expenses. It will eat you. So invest in yourself. Invest in your self-worth and value. Invest in your strength, courage, and wisdom. Be secure in yourself. Be enough. Be enough. And that is when you can fuel your own harvest. Because when you give to fear, when you give to doubt, you're feeding the devil. You know, I believe that light workers understand that they're made of the light. You know, when you turn the room on, when you turn the light on in a dark room, the cockroaches typically run back to the corner. So that's what's happening. And this cycle has been really intense. I've been trying to keep it compact week to week. I've been trying to keep the message curtailed, and it's a live wire. Uranus does that. We had the full out earlier too, but Uranus is in this card. Oh yeah, it would do that. It's a live wire. It's all over the place, and basically, it's saying the way out is through the darkness, because you will learn enlightenment, not illumination, when you're in the dark. You will find the light alive in you when you are in pitch blackness. And the dark journey of the soul is to help you confront what you need to release. Ultimately, it's going to be attachment to your lower self, to your shadow nature. So if you cannot find your light by going to the depths of your own darkness, you cannot be the light, because up until then you have only been illuminated, not enlightened. Illumination comes from the outside in. Enlightenment comes from the inside out. If you cannot be the bright light in a dark place, you are the darkness. You will be remaining in the dark. You will become trapped in the dark. And that's why I'm really sad when I see people with attachments, holding on to things that keep them in the dark. It's scary to let go, but guess what happens? Your hand is open to receive instead of clutched, not receiving anything. And the thing that's remaining in your hand is dying, it's withering, it's trying to leave you. Okay, so that was good, children. Okay, let's move on. Yep. Okay. So let's close out this cycle because I can't read on it anymore. It's a live wire and it's retrograde season, and I need to do the 11:11 Divine Lovers, and I need to do some mystical stuff, and I'm behind on my work, and I've been recovering. I had some dental surgery. I was on antibiotics. Da, 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 da. Okay, so I'm just gonna close this out because it's a lot. It's a lot. Oh my. Okay, so can't make this shiznit up, y'all. I was cursing up a storm with that channel. I would love to not curse. But sometimes I tune into a channel and that's all there is. It's an angry one. My Oshun spirits, my Chamba spirits, I don't have the nice little river ones, the nice little yellow and orange Oshun. I have the black one, the one that doles out punishment. So um, sometimes, when the goddess loves you, she's taken away your illusion. That can feel like a death. The sun has been very strong today. Oop, and the tower came back. There's the sun again. The Wheel of Fortune. So the gate is open. The gate's open for the spirit to come through. And really the God alive in us is what we're needing to see. So, the sermon today will be fearless, and it's a number 3. So that's faith, courage, and wisdom. I'm hearing that song by India Arie, Strength, Courage, and Wisdom. Fearless. And it's be fearless. So dismantle. Okay, so much is coming through. I can't keep up. All right, so get the dirt off of you. Get the effing dirt off of you. It's the ancestors. These two are ancestor cards. Take the dirt off of you. So when you dismantle these system structures, foundations, these means, mechanisms, and methodologies that now no longer work, and you have this inciting incident, this blinding flash of the obvious come to you, and it might dismantle everything you've ever known before. I always thought I would work in finance. I mean, my plan was always to become a certified financial analyst and work on Wall Street for 10 years, write a book, and retire in my mid-30s. That was my plan growing up. My mastery is occultism, is spiritual science. But when I went to school, my major was mathematics. Eventually, I ended up in business, right? So it was a tower incident for me one day when I discovered that I wanted to be a priest and not a trader on Wall Street. Now, what kind of fucking stupid ass thinking am I thinking as a Negro I'm gonna go out and dance around Wall Street? That's some fucked up shit. At least I could have opened up a firm and, had much less competition. But ultimately, I had built my foundation, I built my tower on some unaligned concepts and ideas. My foundation wasn't as secure as I thought. Ultimately, it's saying it would have been like my true authentic self, my authentic nature, my eternal nature wasn't shining through. I was in the darkness and I needed the light to come out. So being fearless in respect to that, it means you need to move forward here in some way, shape, form, or another. It is going to require strength, courage, and wisdom to look at what is the truth. And this truth is going to be in direct relationship to who you really are, to what's alive in you. And as it will be frightening, and it will change it will change the world as you know it. And it might be a very rude awakening. And if it's not a rude awakening, it will unravel you at the very least. Now, collectively, it means you're moving on. So you're leaving something behind, you're moving into the next part of your cycle, moving to the next stage of development. You've had some type of self-initiation or spiritual initiation. Maybe your ancestors came through and facilitated, and some growth experience, who knows? It does say celestial teacher as the guidance here. It would have been coming into contact with the Tibonange, your eternal self, your higher self, the part of you that connects to the Godhead, the part of you that connects to Brahma, Uranus, the creator of your universe, whatever that is for you, and your power and your crown. If you're uninitiated, you won't know, but that's what it is. So, all kinds of people, all different ways, shapes, forms, demons, and devas alike. Asuras and devas alike. It would have been some type of self initiation, and it would have been the eternal mysteries. Okay? So we're ultimately growing to bigger and better and better. We're moving forward. We're moving to the future. We're reconciling aspects of the timeline. We're reconciling different parts of the cycle. Now, that's universally what we know already. We have completed something. We have, for most of us, had a victory. We have had some type of spiritual initiation in some way, shape, form, or another. Now, what we don't know is that ultimately this is a universal cycle pushing forward. So we're either moving closer to or away from the group. Now, another word for the group would be the collective. Another word for the collective would be the overall soul group. Now, there are micro soul. There is the oversoul, which is like all the individual colors of the rainbow. And then there is the soul group, which is literally the collective of humanity. So, aspects of the divine self is stepping into the physical. Things that have been blocking the light of God here on earth and our ability to perceive it has been dismantled and removed. We will begin to perceive the phenomena of the universe more and more and more as a collective as the days go on. The closer we move to 2020 Judgment Day, we will begin to see more and more and more light beings, more and more light workers, more and more of the grid, of the light, of the eternal light. But unfortunately, it will unravel and unravel and unravel more and more and more and more and more. And when I first started to read this energy, I heard, get the dirt off of you. Now, that's something that happens when you open up Ifa, or when you do heavy duty divination, indigenous divination, when you get in contact with your 90,000-year-old soul, not this little 600-year-old bullshit, this 2,000-year-old in slavery of the Jesus technology and all that Inquisition, you know, the Roman Empire and all the fuckery that was going on, shenanigans. That's what I was hearing. So undo the conditioning, undo the programming, undo all that mother, daddy, teacher, preacher stuff. And go higher too. Seek help. So for most of you, you'll be seeking help with your self-worth and value. You are attached. You do hold on to the demons. You do hold on to the devils. You do hold on to the darkness. You don't allow yourself to grow. You leave the dirt on you. And in fact, with your fear, you put more dirt on you. You dirty up your light all the time because of what you're unwilling to release. And since you won't let it go and it's dying in your hand, something's going to come and rip it out of your bloody little fingers now, honey. And it's going to be God, period. Maybe God, maybe Jesus, but it's going to be the divine, and it's going to be the divine spirits. Whatever that looks like for you. Now, to me, Jesus is Krishna, and Krishna is one of the emanations of Vishnu. Vishnu is God, but God the eternal, not the everyday God, not the angry God, but God the eternal. And then I, as a Vaishnava, have a form of a Vishnu that I can invoke. So I have my own personal connection with God. I'm an Aditya. So the goddess Aditi, the goddess Mitra, but you'll have your own thing. To me, when I see this, I think about all the sun beings that come out when the sun is coming out, and they bring in a new day. They bring in a new energy. They help us cross the rainbow bridge. So here, this rainbow bridge is going to be about we're going to need to make choices, but the choices shouldn't be the coulda, shoulda, woulda, or the should, the supposed to, or the proper choice, but the real choice. The choice that we want for ourselves. So we're going to need to release the conditioning and programming and make our choices in alignment with our authentic self. Some of us have been hurting because we've been stuck in depression and darkness and sadness because we weren't willing to enact some type of truth. So we would have grown up in church, we would have grown up in some type of oppressive belief system, belief structure, some type of limited or obsolete technology. Typically, it would be fear, ignorance, whatever, however it manifested, religion, doctrines, enforcement through emotional abuse, mental abuse, verbal abuse. And now we're beginning to ascend. Green, the next one is blue. So we were, even though they tried to tell us the old ancient traditions, we would have seen the innovative way, and then we would have ultimately grown out of the current and started going into the future. So now what's happening is we need to break away and go towards that bigger, better, and better. There is something called letting the good get in the way of the great. That's another aspect of fear. So there are some people that are just afraid to grow, and that's part of what this is. So I'm hearing it's two things. It's not so much about not letting somebody go that doesn't want to love on you. It's fear to go towards where your spirit is calling you to go. Like some people want to be YouTube tarot readers and they're just too afraid of their religious family. I'm sorry. If anybody, I don't deal with people who put blockages for me. So if I'm pumped up about starting a YouTube channel and you're a friend or a family member and you say something to the contrary, versus saying, I'm curious to see how your clunky ass gets that off the ground, but I'm here to support you. Anything that's not in the same vein as that statement, you're out of my life. I'm sorry. I'm not that bitch. I don't tolerate that. So if I'm thriving, not surviving, and you're trying to instill me with fear, I will cut you. Meaning I'll give you a tongue lashing. Okay? I will tell you to your face, you fat, fugly fucking piece of shit, let me tell you one thing. I will do what you do when I want your life. You ain't shit. You ain't anything. I don't respect, know nothing about what you got going on. Keep it moving. Translation. I'm sorry, honey, but I don't want to... I'll do what you do when I want your life. And this is what I want for myself, so I'm going to do these things. And I'm not going to go out of my way to be rude. But when you can't be nice, at least be kind. And tell them, hey, honey, if you want to stay in my life, you're going to support me. You're going to evolve me. You're not going to hinder me. If I'm looking for open roads and you're presenting roadblocks and obstacles, you may be repelling yourself out of my life. And be aware of that. I tell a person all the time, I have no problem telling a person, hey, when I walk out the door, I could never see you again, and I'd be fine with that. And a person will look at me sideways, and they will rethink how they talk to me. And I have no problem doing that. A lot of people do. A lot of people are worried about consequences, like a job or whatever. It's like, why would any person put any time into aligning themselves with things that don't evolve them? Why would any person put any time into things that don't make them thrive? Why would you knowingly, willingly put yourself in situations where you feel small and stuck on stupid, where you enact the survival mentality, which is based in fear? Now, if a friend goes to me, oh, you want to start a YouTube channel? Well, sweetie, what I know about you, that sounds like a long shot, but what do you need from us? How can we support you? Or, I have questions. Help me understand. Help me feel better. I have some concerns. You know, that's a tough track to run on. Girl, are you sure you're ready for that? Do you have the stamina? Do you need somebody to walk with you so you can get in the carpool lane? Like, if you want to talk to me like that, it's a much different story than, oh, hater shit. Oh, nay. Oh, nah. Oh, bitch, you better run. Let me take off my shoe and. Are you blocked in? Do you need help getting the fuck up my house? You understand me. Okay, so we beat that horse. So the sermon today will come from the Cosmic Reading cards, the Cosmic Activation cards for the Soul by Nadi Anastasia. We'll be reading from card number 3 called Be Fearless. And that is on page number 27. Ooh, you know, I love that number. And that's 9 times 3. Okay, so this was a ratchet sermon today, y'all. I apologize. Okay, I had to let that out. I just had to let that out. I couldn't keep it in. You know, whenever the Tower card comes out, to me it's like I love my favorite cards in the deck is the Tower card, the Death card, and the Hangman card. Anything with Saturn, anything with Uranus. So it'll be the Fool card as well. It is also the Devil card. It's also the Hermit. It's also the Justice card and the Judgment card. I love those cards. The cards that are difficult for people because um, I like to I like to be the. You know, when you're in a parade, there's usually like the master of ceremonies, right? I feel like that's my place. I don't want to be the narrator per se, but I don't want to say call the shots, but I want to name them. It's kind of like those sports presenters when you're playing the game of life. You know, it's like, oh, she just walked out of that karmic cycle. Look at her go, walk straight towards her strength, courage, and wisdom. Get it, girl. Whoop, 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 whoop. Like, I see myself that way. So when the Tower card comes out, that is literally what I was born for. That is my gift. Now, everybody has an active gift and a passive gift. So it's a little scary when a person's passive gift is this. But you know, this is the energy of Uranus combined with Saturn, and I actually have Uranus conjunct Saturn in the first house. So this Tower energy is my aura. And for those of you who are scared of me, especially for those of you trying to run away from an open Ifa, I'm not trying to make you feel bad, but just make sure you know what you're doing because you're playing with your life. This is kind of that. Um, I don't have to make threats to terrify you. All I need to do is look at you and you're going to be terrified. Now, this is active terror for an unawakened person. For an awakened person, what this is dismantleization. So oftentimes you'll build the wrong thing on something. Sometimes I'll get dressed and I would have put my clothes out the day before and then I put those clothes on my body and I realized, girl, no, no, put this in the giveaway pile. Give these clothes away. Donate them. Do not try this outfit on ever again. So I put or I built the wrong foundation. I put the wrong outfit on. It could be something as simple as that, where you have that blinding flash of the obvious. So ultimately, the universal experience here is that you need to confront something that the initial reaction is going to be disgust. I love the reaction of disgust. Now, I hate the network Fox, and there was a Fox show once upon a time called um, Lie to Me. It's one of those Fox shows. If you go download the Fox app or jump on Hulu, you can watch Lie to Me. They track a lot of microaggressions. Every time I saw contempt, every time I saw hate, every time I saw terror, that's like right, that's my spot right there. In that moment, disgust, contempt, terror, hatred, it is like you need to right a wrong. You come to the realization that the alternative is not good enough, that you will no longer stand for the current reality. When you come to the acceptance that the foundation you have started to build upon must be restored and refreshed before you can receive pleasure, you can put your energy into dismantleization. You know, every other year, and I don't celebrate Christmas, but I grew up celebrating Hanukkah and Christmas. I loved on every other year on Christmas when I'd visit the family because my stepdad would, because he gets a new computer, right? So I would get to take the sledgehammer to his old computer. That was literally my favorite thing about going home for the holidays. You know, now sometimes when you dismantle something, it's good. Like dismantling is not when you quit your job and you have another job to go for. Dismantling is like you go into work, your boss asks you to do something unethical, and you quit on the spot. No new job to go to, no references, no savings in the. You're just like, okay, I'm not gonna come into this work fearful. I'm not gonna come in here feeling like a piece of shit, and I'm not gonna sit here and do things that are gonna make me not be able to sleep tonight. So no matter what the consequence is, whether I end up homeless 30 days later, I will have my integrity, even though I'm out on the streets. That's what this card is. Is when you walk in the house, or and that deadbeat on your couch is like, where's my dinner, woman? And you tell him it's immediately on the other side of him kissing your motherfucking ass and getting the fuck out. And he picks up and leaves and never comes back. And you not breaking up with a man, not having another man lined up, not knowing that you're going to cry yourself to sleep for the next week. This tower card is when you're saving up money and money and money and money and money, and then your child has a medical issue. And that whole amount of money you've been saving up for the last 18 months is gone. But you don't care. That's the tower card to me. Now, ultimately, it's when your God eye opens and you see for the first time that which up until recently was illusion. See, what people don't realize about the devil is the devil lives in the moon card. So when you confront what's alive in you, moon card, you will meet your shadow, devil card. When you look your shadow in the eye, you will have terror, tower card. But after the tower comes the star card, healing and illumination. So be fearless. Go towards what your soul is calling you to do. Let's read this sermon here. Do you really want to look back on your life and see how wonderful it could have been had you not been afraid to live it? Carolyn Miss. Has fear been holding you back from pursuing your dreams and following your heart? Do you hold a fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of change, fear of making a mistake? Fear of what society may think, and fear of life and death. The fear of failing can be immobilizing, and many wonderful opportunities are missed because of it. It serves only as a wall stopping you from living a joyous life. When you hide behind that wall of fear, you not only slow down the process of transformation and growth, but you also attract what you most fear. For example, if you have a fear of not being worthy, you will still find yourself in situations and circumstances that validate those fears. Building those walls of fear does not protect you from the unknown. It keeps you imprisoned within a cycle of challenges. These challenges may come in different disguises, but ultimately, they hold the same energy. To transcend this repetitious will is to shine light on and face those inner fears. This is not a battle, but an act of pure love and compassion. Go within yourself and find out from where these fears stem. Fears are usually born from something you have seen, heard, or experienced personally. Send this shade within you love, understanding, and compassion. You are stronger than you realize. Take the first step and live your life fearlessly. Prayer here is Great Spirit, give me strength to embrace the fears within me with love, compassion, and light. The associated chakras are the base and the sacral. So the base chakra is how you stay in the body. So anything that can affect life, including money. If you don't have food to eat, you will die. If you don't have money to buy food, therefore you will die. Or you may be fearful because you have to become aggressive and rob, steal, and cheat in order to eat, which will change who you are. So that's like root chakra stuff. Sacral chakra is your place in this world. If you don't have self worth and value, you can't receive love. You can't give love actively, properly, healthily. Therefore, your place in this world will be that of an inferior nature. Therefore, you will always be fearful because you feel that something can take your happiness at any given moment. Again, the prayer is give Great Spirit, give me strength to embrace the fears within me with love, strength, and or love, compassion, and light. Do you really want to look back on your life and see how wonderful it could have been had you not been afraid to live it? Ooh, child. Ooh, child. Ooh, child. Okay. Wow. All right. So, let's check out with this. I'm hearing that song. Ooh, child, things are gonna get easier. Ooh, child, things will get brighter. I'm hearing that song. When a dream is shattered, sometimes the hardest part is letting go of the space you were holding to receive what your ego was telling you were going to receive. And to be able to perceive the phenomena of the universe requires a person to quiet the mind. That can be difficult for the unawakened person. We're conditioned and programmed to quack like a duck and bark like a dog and sit pretty. The behave like a good little boy or girl and go out and be stuck on stupid like everybody else. And not just be stuck on stupid, but live in stupid, teach stupid, give it to your children, feed it to your children, perpetuate that bullshit for all eternity. That's the new world human condition. In America, I'm American, so I can say this. We spend ourselves poor, we eat ourselves to death, right? And it's everybody else's fault. We excuse away our own happiness. We're willing to give up a little bit of security for more comfort, or a little bit of freedom for more security. And ultimately, we displace our sovereignty. And I call that spiritual prostitution, when we're giving of our eternal self for the little pittance here in the material, for something that's going to die with us, that we won't be able to take to heaven with us. And we're more prioritized, we're more in this devilish thing than this spiritual thing that is going to save our soul. We're so fixated and fascinated by the things we can accumulate that we don't instill ourselves with the things that will make us stronger, with the things that will help us weather the storm. And we're so caught up on these devilish cycles that we lack the strength, courage, and wisdom, or the common damn sense to call a spade what a spade is, to say, this is depleting me. It is stealing my sovereignty. I will not do it. I will not give to it. I will not tolerate it. I will no longer hold space for it. I thank it for what it is and what it came to teach me, and I allow it to go. I release the energy to move to its highest vibration and outcome. That takes courage. To light your life on fire and burn that thing down to the ground takes courage. To leave your husband, to quit your job, to speak up for yourself takes courage. Speak the truth even when your voice shakes. That takes courage. Fear is not courage, strength, bravery is not the absence of fear. It's the ability to act in spite of the fear. That's what real courage is. And the wound is where the light shines through. If you're anxious all the time, it's because you're thinking of the future. If you're regretting or you're depressed or you're remorseful all the time, it's because you're thinking about the past. If you're at peace, it's because you're living in the present. So let's think about these people that are fearful because they're anxious, they're always in the future. That's a spiritual crackhead. That's a person that chooses to use the same tools that a light worker is going to use, but for bad. This is a goo year. I'm meeting a lot of cursed people. A lot of times when you're born and you're not melanated, it means you're born from the tomb and you're not born from the womb. So if you're no longer born from the moon and you're here on earth, it means you chose to live in the dark for too many lifetimes. Therefore, you are no longer born of light. Therefore, you need to free yourself in this lifetime. If you see a melanated person, that means that they are born of the light and that they came here to help. That they were born of the womb. They were not born of the tomb. And I know that upsets you. Some of you. You feel like I'm calling you a whitey and telling you ain't shit. That's only true if you choose to believe it. And if that's what you heard, I'll tell you that's not what I said and move on. Whatever you decide to think when I open up my mouth, that's true. So if you think I hate you and I'm racist, you're right. If you think I'm loving and caring and generous and wise, you're right. So sending me emails about race is the stupidest investment of your time. I can assure you. Take my word for it. Why don't you just be the better person and take the higher road and unsubscribe and go on about your business? Because you know what, something? I'm going to do the same. I love white people. They pay my bills. Okay, so don't worry. Here's the thing though, if you came and you're not able to absorb the rays of the sun, you no longer have the keys to the kingdom. So ultimately, how would you get the keys to the kingdom? You need to take the dirt off your soul so that you can find your light. Well, how do you take the dirt off your soul? You confront what's alive in you. You confront the things that blocked you from being yourself. So if you try to be yourself and you have anxiety and fear, what do? You quiet the mind. You take your power back. So how do you take your power back? What does that look like? You become content. You practice joy, contentment, gratitude, stillness, concentration. If you have something negative, you look at it, you recognize it, and you don't have shame or fear or anger for what it is. If you're in a negative, devilish place, it's a vehicle for your experience. So thank the experience for what it is. Be grateful that you were able to reflect on your experience and be aware of the experience. If you're fighting it, it's going to stay around. Then you say, okay, well, there's this negative experience here. Let me honor it for what it is and release it. Sometimes you need to restrict your behavior. Okay? So, for instance, I've been having issues with food. I've been um, not eating a lot. And when I don't eat a lot, it means that I'm emotional. And when I'm emotional, it normally means that I'm feeling out of control. That I need to take time for rest and I need to reflect on what's alive in me. That I'm operating and going like an energizer bunny and I have no time for rest and stillness. Okay? So let's just use the example of overeating, which is not my problem, especially not anymore. So if you notice that you're overeating, typically if you're overeating, there's a feeling behind it. Food is for fuel. It's not for entertainment. It's not for mood control. And I know you want to say other things. Stop. Stop. If you're using food as a buffer, if you're using sex as a buffer, if you're using shadow, the devil as a buffer, it's fine. Replace it with something of the light. Buffering is not showing up to the experience, not participating, running away. What you're doing is you're kicking the ball down the road and you're basically buying time with spiritual debt. So if you're overeating, replace that habit with something healthy. Meditation. If you're the type of people who waste a lot of time on Instagram or Facebook or TV, replace it with something else. Spiritual practice. Initially, what I would do is I would practice what's called Abhidharma. I would start with the 5 virtues and the 5 vices. If you Google 5 hindrances, 5 hindrances, you'll find a Wikipedia article and it will tell you the things that take you out of awareness of the mind. Why do you need awareness of the mind? Well, the mind is what creates illusion. The heart is what tells you how you're showing up to your reality. The mind is what is creating that reality. The heart is how you experience. The mind is how you perceive. Feelings are not emotions. Emotions has much more to do with your ego. Feelings have much more to do with your ego. Emotions have much more to do with your soul, with your consciousness. You feel what you feel because of what you're deciding to think. Most people, they need to master their mind. Unfortunately, their mind has mastered them. That's the devil. Master it, Temperance card, or it will master you, the devil. How do you master the devil? You master your ego. How do you master your ego? You accept it for what it is, and that allows it to be proportionate. When you're so rigid, your ego becomes bloated, usually with fear, a bunch of reasons why you can't be happy. Ultimately, you wrangle this ego by just becoming aware of the process in which it begins to perceive. If a person can't change their thoughts, their feelings are going to be all over the place. And if you feel some kind of way by every little thing that happens outside of you, you are at the mercy of your consciousness experience. You're at the mercy of the world. That's the technical definition of hell on earth. I don't get why people worry about things that they can't change. I don't get why people are always worried about what other people are thinking or planning or doing. I don't get why you just don't say people are responsible for their own behaviors and I'm going to do me and worry about me and everybody else can do their thing. But if you don't know what to do and you want to do something, you arrest the mental ego. The ego is great, but governing from the ego, there's a problem. The untrained mind will arrest your soul. When you control the mind, you can control the spirit. When you can control the spirit, you can control the soul. So if you believe you are shit, you will feel like shit. And the moment you feel like shit, you're living in caca. If you feel like $1,000,000, even if you're dressed in rags, you're going to shine bright like a diamond. So the practices of arresting the mind is becoming aware of the mind. You don't always need to be in love with what you find there in the mind, but you need to be willing to explore. You need the tools to explore. You need the consciousness to explore. That's called language structure, knowledge space. You need to know what you're looking for and how to recognize it. Meditation, prayer. Meditation. The 5 hindrances are remedied by the 5 virtues. So if you're feeling lazy, the remedy to that is contemplation. If you're feeling jealousy or ego, the remedy to that is joy. Did you know that a positive thought and a negative thought cannot reside in the mind at the same time? So if we're thinking something bad and then you choose to replace it with something good, do that again and again and again. What do you think your life's going to look like a week later, a month later, a year later? The mind is like a fertile garden. Whatever you plant there will grow wild. So you don't want weeds in your garden, girl. And you want to be the kind of girl that doesn't go chasing butterflies. Be the kind of girl that attracts butterflies. What does that mean? It means you're going to need to cultivate the kind of garden that attracts positivity, that attracts spiritual alignment. And in order to do that, you need to forgive yourself for who you had to be to survive. And recognize that all you can do is wake up wherever you are right now and remove the dirt off of you. Remove the fear, remove the shame, remove the grief, remove the ignorance, remove the ego, remove the hatred, self-hatred, hatred for other people, the envy, the jealousy. Experience joy, experience love, be bigger, brighter, and better. Have strength, courage, and wisdom. Have self-worth and value. Love yourself. And you know what? It should hurt a little bit at first. To find your light, you're going to have to cry yourself a river. Then you're going to have to get in that river and you're going to need to purify and cleanse your soul. There's no other way to do it. And if that mind cannot be quieted, it will enslave you. And if you have to spend the rest of your life every darn day wrestling your mind, the alternative is not good enough. There's many different types of meditation. Sleeping meditations, shower meditations, sleeping meditations. You can find one of them that works. There are some meditations where you quiet the mind, and there are some meditations where you focus on the thing that is the most prevalent in your mind. So it doesn't matter how you meditate, it matters that you take an active participatory role in your life. And the first thing you need to do is you need to master your mind, or it will master you. What did we read here on page 27? Do you really want to look back on your life and see how wonderful it could have been if you had not been afraid to live it? You know, There are people that will find a solution for any problem, and there are people in the world that will find a problem for any solution. I had a running coach once, and he was talking about, well, I was training for a half, like a triathlon. I didn't really do really well. I didn't do very well at all. But anyways, I met a wonderful mentor, and he told me something, and it's a common story, but this person told it to me. There was a master, like a sensei, and there was a kid, and he was trying to get down the hill on his bicycle, and there were boulders all over this hill on the way down, and the point of the story was kind of like, well, if you focus on the boulders, you're going to run into the rocks. You're going to run into the obstacles. But if you focus on the space in between the obstacles, what you're going to run into is results. You're going to run into the end of the hill. You're going to be at the bottom, the level ground. It's that same story where they're trying to bury the donkey because they believe that he's lame and he's fallen down this well, and that it's easier to bury him alive than it is to spend all the energy to dig him out. So they just keep piling dirt on top of him, and the donkey, the mysteries of ass, meaning your lower nature, the part of you that is demonic, that just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. So the donkey in its nature is saying, but I want out. So he shakes off his head and says, hey, help me. They pile on another shovel of dirt, and he shakes off his head and says, hey, help me. What is that analogous of? Use one obstacle as a stepping stone to the next and the next and the next and the next. I've been beating this dead horse, but let me just tell you something. Time out. Okay. I'm trying to be a YouTube tarot reader, and I'm really actually more of like a practitioner. And it's hard to figure out how to have a tarot business and have spiritual children at the same time. I'm going to figure it out. It's just an adjustment. And I've had Uranus move into my sixth house, so all these health problems have come out. I'm having to redefine my day-to-day repetitive routines. I'm having to find a new normal. And I have Saturn conjunct my Neptune. So my intuition puts me to work. It doesn't open me up. It actually constricts me. It's like every time I tune into a resonance, a vibration, I feel like I'm enslaved. So I'm dealing with obstacles which bring me to my place of rage. Rage is the active version of hatred. Hatred is the opposite of love. It's to bring things back into alignment. It's to right an imbalance. Love is very similar to harmony. Harmony is the manifestation of order in the universe. Beauty is the manifestation of harmony in the universe. Love is the manifestation of beauty in the universe. Compassion is the manifestation of love in the universe. Unity is the manifestation of compassion in the universe. The universe is the manifestation of unity in the universe. So if something's out of balance, love is really then the opposite of hate. And I've been receiving and feeling a lot of rage. The last 2, 3, 4 weeks, a lot of rage. Because everyone's coming to me and freaking out. And it's fine to need help. It's fine to be uncertain. But I am not the being who freezes. When it's time for flight or fight, I fight every time, every time, every time. I don't run and I don't freeze. I fight one, I fight again, and I fight a third time. And I'm dealing with all of these things that is forcing me to look at what's alive in me that's stuck. So I've had to take a big slice of humble pie and realize that I freeze as many times as well. But it's maybe not when an obstacle comes my way. Maybe it's when an opportunity comes my way. Or maybe when something comes that makes me uncomfortably grow, right? So maybe karma doesn't come to my door and knock and say, hey, close this cycle out, and I don't run away from that. But so this whole Uranus moving into Taurus, this whole Saturn and Capricorn, it's making me put boundaries around my technology, my theories, my techniques, my technologies, my means, my mechanisms, my methodologies, how I trade, how I act in commerce. And I'm realizing that people act reactively and they have this need for immediate gratification, that they're always looking to feel better. Me, I'm looking to create value. Always. I see things as like my success depends on your success. My story will help your story. And I'm not the kind of person that is actively trying to harm other people or wound other people. It's weird. Um, when I'm doing things, I don't get scared easily. Like I don't have a fearful response to things. You know what frightens me is loud noises because it changes the resonance around me and I start tuning into different channels. You know, as an oracle, that's what scares me is when I can't control the noise level. But that's the only thing. If something out of the expected happens, my first response is not flight. I'm not a reactive person. And so I'm getting around all these people and they're coming to me for help. They're coming to get their needs met. And I open my mouth and I tell whatever truth I see and they're scared. They feel threatened. It's not always of me. Oftentimes it is, but it's not always me. Different people, different things. Ultimately, the message is like they have to release what they're choosing to think. And they need to trust that I can help them tune into, plug into something higher. It's funny because I don't tell people to read the Bible. I tell people to read the Pali Canon. Pali is like a sect of Buddhism. But if I do tell people to read the Bible, I always tell them to start with the book of Revelations. I'd start really at the book of Revelation. So if I'm that kind of person, you can recognize like my fear doesn't bind me, and I okay, I'm just gonna say it because it's coming. I'm not the kind of person who okay, well, I don't perceive the solution as outside of my hands. And I'm very slow moving, so it might take me a while to enact the solution, but I will have been thinking about it and would have located the solution a while ago. And it's funny because the Tower card and the Strength card, I mean, excuse me, the Chariot card and the Strength card, that means moving forward. Strength, courage, and wisdom moving forward. Just choosing something. That's what the whole freezing is. That's why it annoys me. It's because, like, God gives you the opportunity to grow. Your soul, the goddess, is asking you to grow. God, your mind, your third eye, asks you to grow, and you're scared. See, the choice is to choose anything. That's the right answer. Is to choose anything. Choose whatever's new. I mean, unless they're asking you to change something and whatever you're doing works already, then you need to ask yourself a different set of questions. But if it's clear that the cycle's over, the thing to choose is whatever's new. A lot of people, they go somewhere, let's say they move to Hollywood and then they move back home because they couldn't make it. It's like, no. Move to a different city and try a different thing. If you move to Hollywood to act, try moving to New York to model or be in theater. Try moving to San Francisco to be an artist. Try moving to Santa Fe to be a fine artist. Like, don't move home. Like, don't go backwards. Move forward. Try something new. The only bad option is one option. Like, if you're not making a choice and if you're not moving from the place of having choices, having options, how are you thinking bigger and brighter and better? If when life happens and the opportunity to grow comes along and all you can do is run back to your little hole, how are you thinking bigger and brighter and better? It's like if you run back to your old life where you were broken and wounded and disempowered to feel better, you see the problem there? And so, in being fearless, it doesn't mean that any of the old structures are going to remain the same. All it means is you see clearer now. Sometimes when you rip up the linoleum, you find a hardwood floor. Sometimes when you take the wallpaper off, you figure out that there's a historic building. I'm going to stop. That little last sermon, it was this card here. So we should read this card. Choices. I'm going to read that card. Okay, choices. I'm hearing that song. You made me promises you knew you couldn't keep. Promises, promises. So why do I believe all of your promises? I don't know who sings that song. I've tried to look it up and find it before I've even Googled the lyrics, and I couldn't find the artist of that song. So if somebody wants to email me, oracle@priestessgorgeous.org, I would love to know who sings that song. I hear that song a lot in the shower, like when I'm coming out of the shower, I hear that song. It just means I have unfinished work with the goddess usually. It means I told her I'd do something and I haven't done it yet. So that's what's coming out. Because to me, number 8 is the strength card, that's Sekhmet. And the strength card, see, people don't realize that the strength card, Sekhmet is the one that the demons are afraid of because Sekhmet, see, demons and spirits, they're really attracted to light. And when you're hiding in the dark, leeching off the light, you need the light to be accessible. So if the light steps into its strength, courage, and wisdom, its self-worth and value more and more and more, it becomes less and less and less available to the dark. See, the dark can only operate up to a certain frequency, and the light is very high vibrational, very high frequency. So the light has to drop down in its frequency in order to be leachable, in order to be gettable by the dark. And so the strength card to me is about choosing to go to that higher vibration, choosing to cut away, choosing to judge and to see or to stand up to or to face whatever that low vibration is, to use that low vibration as a stepping stone, to use the experiences in that low vibration while you were in the dark, while you were ignorant, while you were stuck on stupid, to liberate you. If you're around demons, what do those demons teach you? Girl, your self-worth and value. If you let the devil into your house, do you know what that means? It means you're made of light, baby girl, because the devil won't come and live in your house if you're made of darkness. He'll just give you a job and go on about his business. So a lot of times we'll sit there and be like, oh, this devil, oh, this incubus, oh, this narcissist. Well, girl, if you're attracted to narcissists, do you know what that means? It means you're an empath. If you're attracted wounding, it means now you have light that can shine through. If your heart is broken, guess what it means? It means your heart is open now. So choices. To make your decision, ask yourself, which experience best allows my soul to grow? If you have drawn this card, you've come across a crossroads in your life where choices and decisions need to be made. This period can be quite challenging as you weigh your options. Your mind tells you one thing, and yet your heart feels differently. The mind, with all its logic, reinforces your core beliefs in what is safe and secure, which with creature comforts and stability. Your heart, on the other hand, pushes you to explore possibilities and adventures that seem all too foolish and irresponsible to the mind. One more time. The mind, with all its logic, reinforces your core beliefs in what is safe and secure with creature comforts and stability. Your heart, however, on the other hand, pushes you to explore possibilities and adventures that seem all too foolish and irresponsible to the mind. Dearest one, your soul longs to grow, evolve, and expand to higher states of consciousness. Your heart knows this as it is the guiding force within you. The mind is the vehicle that assists you in getting to where your heart needs to go. Are you growing in your current situation, whether it is in a relationship or working environment? Or does spirit have to bring outside influences such as changes in your working environment or a new friendship that causes you to review your current relationship? If it is external influences that are pulling at your heartstrings and not your current situation, then it is pretty clear that the place you are in is not serving your highest good. It may be serving you on a more physical creature comfort level, but your heart and soul needs more. You need to be challenged and pushed to make breakthroughs. Why play it safe? You have one life to live, and the mission is not to be too cautious. Our goal is to grow and to expand. Closing doors in your life may not be easy. Trust your heart and inner guide that you are being taken somewhere beautiful. You are not alone. Divine guidance surrounds you continuously. The affirmation here is I am courageous as I listen to the guidance from my heart. Associated chakras is the solar plexus and the heart. So the solar plexus is the place from when you make decisions, and the heart is the place from which you align or unaligned with energies in the environment. It's been an honor and a pleasure to serve you. Thank you for allowing me the privilege and the pleasure to do so. I'm still accepting donations, so thank you so much for those. A lot of you are telling me that you want to send a donation, but you'd rather help me buy temple supplies. So, I've been sick. I'm sorry. I know I'm dropping balls. I'm getting behind on my work again. I haven't been able to open up divination too much because I'm recovering from anesthesia. I had some dental surgery, and boy, this Uranus is in my sixth house is kicking my ass right now. It's a sixth house transit. I have a sixth house transit of Uranus. So I'm gonna love to share when it's over what I experienced and what I did and stuff like that. But I am doing 2 hours a time of work and then taking a nap, and 2 hours of time and taking a nap, and that seems to be a good temporary remedy for me right now. And I'm also I'm back to everyday spiritual baths instead of twice a week. So if you're in the lodge group, we can check in about it if you're curious and stuff like that, and if you're experiencing the same thing. I have guidance. It's a thing that's happening across the globe. It's a Gu year, so we need to Gu is Mars, so that's the accelerator in the car. Think of Venus as the car, the sun as the driver of the car, the moon as the kind of car you have, and how well your car is working. Mercury is the laws of the road. Saturn is the brake, Mars is the accelerator. So this year we're gonna have to face whatever our blockages are, and we're also gonna have to face unknown elements. So sometimes it's our karma, and it can manifest in many different ways. Challenges at work, challenges with the family, challenges with our children, or sickness, illness. Oftentimes schizophrenia or fights with the mother. Oftentimes violence from other members of the family, especially siblings. So if your sister's trying to kill you or your mother is got an extra dose of crazy, it literally means that you need goo medicine. You need Mars medicine. And a lot of people are trying to do this Mongol dasha. It's not just one of you, it's a handful of you. I only advise that you do that Mongol dasha if you are in your Mars period. If you're not in your Mars period in your chart right now, do not do Mongol Dalsha. There are other ways to remedy the malefic effects of Mars in your chart. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to wear white undergarments and you're going to want to fast on Mondays and you're going to want to make offerings in the woods or at the base of a tree on Tuesdays. We can talk about it more. If you've opened up Ifa, you're probably going to want to put goo protection on yourself. The lowest price for goo protection is 95,000 sefa. That's a West African currency. Okay. So in the US, about 512 sefa is $1. So 95,000 sefa is about 130 something dollars in the US. And that is what we're going to, we need that to do your goo protection. Now, that's the stock average price. For some children, it's more. For some children, it's less. If you have goo as a spirit, it's going to be more. Now, if you don't have open Ifa and you don't want to do that, you don't need to. Okay. Oftentimes, what you're going to want to do instead of worrying about Mars is you're going to want to worry about your Jupiter. Jupiter is what regulates Mars energy. Jupiter is Havioso, Shango, Ogun. Gu is Mars. Okay? So unless you are a good child or you're in your the Mars period in your chart, you would look at your Vedic chart. I would tell you immediately. Just give me your birth data, and I could tell you right away. Um, you don't need to worry about it. And I'm getting a lot of people emailing me about Mars medicine, and it's like, girl, I'm happy you know that you need to pay attention to your Mars, honey. But if you don't need to arrest your lower self, focus on your higher self. You know, if you find out you have diabetes, you don't always need to amputate your arm right away. Sometimes you just get on meditation and medication and change your diet. Let's not go with the drastic stuff. Because if you do Mars medicine, you're shaking the Mars tree. And sometimes the things that unlodge are heavy to deal with. Okay? So sometimes you're going to want to put other things around you to alleviate the experience of unlocking that Mars energy. That is interesting. I just heard a clap, like a book closing. So I think the channel just went away. The strength card oftentimes is Mars, especially if a person's feminine but they have a strong energy, it would be Durga. So, especially if the world card comes out with it, and we have that here, to me, this tree is the world card. So, if you are hearing a lot of Durga, or if you're hearing a lot of evil eye or banishing evil, or you're seeing a lot of like the Black Madonna or the Black Goddess, get at me. Oracle at priestessgorgeous.org. It literally is the universe saying to summon your warrior spirit. See, Mars or Gu, it helps you endure conflict. It doesn't always help you win, but it helps you endure conflict, endure hatred. It rules iron and man made weapons, so guns, poisons, knives. Also, when people want to take you down, they can lie about you, they can steal from you. This is the year where people are going to take credit for your work and where people who don't like you are going to actively attack you. And a lot of times in the first beginning of the year, leading up to the equinox, it's like a planning stage. So from December 21st to March 21st, it's like collecting data, getting a lay of the land, maybe a little bit of um, instigation where people are testing you. And then between March 22nd and June 22nd, what happens is they want to put the plan in motion. So oftentimes either they'll lay the trap or they'll enact the plan so that they can around December 22nd they can reap the benefits. So from December 22nd to excuse me, from June 22nd to September 21st, what'll happen is they'll be reaping the benefits of your demise. So enemies want to see your demise. And unfortunately, it's a goo year. So we'll always have to be humble. We'll always have to pray for our enemies. Doesn't mean you can't curse them, but when you curse a person, what you do is you send their energy back to them. I'm hearing Arabic prayers right now. That's why I paused. So when I hear Arabic prayers, it's talking about Adam and Eve. It's talking about the first peoples. People in Jordan, people in Israel, people in Egypt. It's not talking about Muslim or the Arabic world. It's talking about the first tribes of people from the Red Sea, from the Fertile Crescent. So that's what I was talking about earlier. If you're made of light and you walk into the dark, people are going to attack you. Just be fearless. A lot of people are getting attacked at work, and it's because you're a light, you're chosen, and everybody else is living in the dark. I have that happen to me a lot. I'll become friends with somebody, or they'll start working with me as their priest, and their boyfriend, or their man, or their boss, or their sister, or their brother, or their mother, or their roommate will try to tear the relationship down. Why? You don't want a person getting brighter and brighter and brighter around you because they'll shine light on your darkness. If you are perpetuating a scam in that environment, you don't want your coworker or this other person unraveling what you're doing or shining light or calling attention to what you're doing. So you are the flashlight shining light into the darkness, and other people around you are spooked. Now, I'm also getting names of the demon lieutenants right now, the Princess of Hell. So when it's a goo year, it means the devil's eye will be on you. Because goo is the spirit that the colonizers used to colonize. Goo is what brings the demiurge energy into the physical. So those who created this matrix of currency and citizenships and friendships and marriage partnerships and court systems and all the little Illuminati bullshit, that's Mars energy, goo energy. The Knights of Columbus, Knights of Templar, the Grand Dame Order of bullshit and white fuckery, that's Mars energy. Mars, when you see it in a person's chart, it talks about where they're imprisoned. Saturn would be the prison, Mars would be the offense that put them in prison. And then Rahu would talk about what the terms of the sentence are, like, if they're in a prison, if they're on house arrest, it'll talk about that. Rahu, Mars, Saturn tells me a lot about a person's karma. The ability to free themselves of karma would tell me their moon. Okay. So Mars is what made us stuck in the third dimension and not able to ascend easily. It's a secondary energy and it's one of enslavement. And when I tell you you need group protection, it's not so I can get money. I'm not a predatory practitioner. I'm never going to try to kill you. We don't do that. I'm Radha tradition, West African voodoo. That means God's tradition, the golden way. And I have a sisterhood of women who support me. So this whole fear thing, girl, you need to get a refund for that crack. And if you don't have money and you're trying to do spiritual work, You have to pray to your ancestors. And if you're not calling me or not checking in with me because you think I just want your money to do work, tell me you don't have money. I'm still going to tell you how much it costs. And we can set the date 6 months out, a year out, and I will get on the phone with you every other Friday and pray to your ancestors with you. Do you understand? My success depends on your success. If I can clean the dirt off of you and bring you home, to call home your ancestors and to name them from the point of no return, we will both be in the promised land together. My success depends on your success. So put protection on yourself. If you're going to go and be the light, you're going to face bullies. You are going to face adversity. You are going to be attacked this year. The people not getting attacked this year are the attackers, are the colonizers, are the enslavers. So I'm hearing another. Remember, I told you when I hear Muslim prayers, it's the Adam and Eve, the first peoples. I'm hearing a song from an Ethiopian tribe, and it goes. It's from the Akani people, as they began to migrate from East Africa, Sudan, Eritrea, Ethiopia, onto Ghana, Togo, Benin, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, Cameroon. Um, Anyways, I'm hearing a song. It's a Chamba song. It's a Oshun song. Basically, I am Chamba, hear me sing. I am Chamba, hear me laugh. I am Chamba, hear my voice. Basically, it's saying, like, I am the original power. I am the original mystery. I am the original secret. I am the original, the primordial version. Everything that you see now is a copy of a copy of a copy of me. Hear me, see me. So what I'm being told is that eternal power is emerging as a collective, and it's going to be at the forefront of the black woman. So black women, if you're at work and men are fighting with you, if you're at work and you're afraid of your boss, you need group protection. If you can't leave your husband, you need group protection. It's not a lot of money. I see things cost $1,200, $1,600, $2,500. Girl, 130 bucks. You can part with that. Stop drinking Starbucks for a month. You skip your cable for a month. Okay? So, whew, that was a mouthful. Let me just pull a card from the ancestors. Okay, yeah, the ancestors are calling. Les Barons, that's the ancestors that are named. So the ancestors that have a name, that we know who they are, they're waiting on the market of the world. They're waiting. They're here on earth waiting for something to happen. Yep. We read right to left. So this card mirrors this card here. So things are getting out of control on a world level. We're being compelled to face up to our knowledge of our soul mission, purpose, karma, destiny here in this lifetime, who we are and why we're here. We have a mission and a purpose. Our mission is always to use our gift to shine light in the darkness. And if you are melanated, you are made of light. And if you're melanated and you're not a light worker, you're not doing your job. People who are melanated, they don't actually need to be born. So if you are born and you're melanated and you're not a light worker, you're not doing your job. I don't care about your opinion, it's the truth. I don't care about your feelings, it's the truth. Now, if you're not melanated, and you don't have to be black to be melanated, if you're not melanated, it means you are here to work to get your light back. There's something in your mind you need to release that is blocking you from getting back into your heart in a way that opens up the universe to you. And the thing about goo this year is that whatever is keeping you stuck on stupid, reincarnating is going to come to try to wound you, to knock you out of your heart back into your sacral chakra so that you can continue next year feeling inferior as well. Now, the way to do this is to focus on your mind. Your mind is going to need to open up the gate. So you're going to need, it'll be true when you say it's true. You'll be able when you say you're able. You'll be ready when you say you're ready. When you're ready to take that leap of faith, it is there open for you. And who is there to catch you is the ancestors. The ancestors with power that can help you right now. Not the ones you need to feed, not the ones you need to wake up, the ones that are walking with you at this very moment. It's been an honor and a pleasure to serve you. Thank you for allowing me the privilege to do so. Please leave a donation. The link is in the show notes. Oracle@priestessgorgeous.org. If you'd like to book a consultation or an assessment, smash that like button, baby. Email your friends. Share this with your friends. Until we meet again, until we read again. Namaste, Dhanavad, and Ashe. Goodbye, everyone.